Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. I have a really interesting video for you guys today. I was going over some things on a website called archive.org, and I like to use that website to kind of find, new and interesting little bits of information. There's lots of old books on there, old stories that you can look up, and I was trying to look up Bigfoot stuff, and I came across an interesting article, this write-up. I'll have a link down below so you guys can actually check it out. But what it was basically going over, some crazy stuff about like the lost or thought to be lost Atlantis civilization, and I guess just theories about the existence of things and the levels of vibrations that every, I guess, physical or spiritual object has on this planet. But I ended up finding this crazy theory about Bigfoot in this article. So how the Bigfoot thing kind of ties into this is that in this document, it starts talking about this alleged cave in Illinois that was discovered back in 1925 and then apparently rediscovered in the 80s by another individual. And before I really get into this, I'm going to say now that the story about this cave and the contents that have supposedly been found inside of it is highly debated and thought by like professional archaeologists, even people who are kind of pseudo archaeologists or are into like the more crazy theories. They're also saying that this is more than likely a hoax. It's rumored that in this cave, there had been thousands of small artifacts. Basically, they're pictographs. Essentially, there's these stone tablets that have pictures on them that are apparently showing a bunch of different types of beings. So a lot of these little stone pieces have pictures of people, like human beings. There's some images on them that look more animal-like. Some of them look lizard-like. And there is tablets that in this article, whoever wrote it is saying that some of them depict Bigfoot creatures. The other crazy thing about this cave system is that it is thought by some people who are deeply looking into it that it may contain the grave of Alexander the Great, which we're not really going to get into that side of the story. We're going to stick to the Bigfoot relation here. I could literally talk about this cave system and the artifacts found in it and the legitimacy of it for probably a couple hours. There's a lot of information about it, and like I said, there are people who are deeply looking into it and have been for like over 30 years, kind of deciphering these tablets. And there's apparently ancient Egyptian artifacts and hieroglyphs and Phoenician artifacts, and it's said that there's like 15 to 17 crypts in this cave system. Now the cave system, is made of sandstone. Usually caves don't form in sandstone, they form in limestone. And usually there's water that erodes the caves away. So it's apparently a man-made cave. And if it's real, it would kind of imply that there was like a sea-bearing group of people who, crossed over to North America from, Egypt or somewhere in the area, thousands and thousands of years ago, before there was thought to be people coming over to North America. Like, it's just a really bizarre thing. But anyways, back to the Bigfoot stuff. There, you see on this image here, there's these faces, these stone faces. I'm not exactly sure of the proportions of these ones. I've seen images and video of some of the other artifacts, and they're a few inches across, so they're not that big. There, you can hold them in the palm of your hand, essentially. But it's really hard to say, if something. It's a very like primitive form of art, essentially. I mean, you're carving something in rock, so it's hard to say, especially with a topic such as Bigfoot. It's hard to say exactly what it is. Did the people back then in Egypt even know of Bigfoot? Was it a theory back then? Probably not in that area, but if they came across the sea, maybe it was something that they encountered. But odds are that it's not. If you think about it, back in the day, it would be really funny if people who made these things were just being creative. In movies nowadays and in art, and comic books and things of that nature, which are art forms. People are being creative and they create creatures and monsters, and it's fun and it's cool. So what is to say, that people back in the day didn't do the same thing? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they created artwork of creatures and monsters that, they just thought up in their imagination. It doesn't necessarily mean it's something literal that they saw, right? So it'd be kind of funny if we took this stuff completely literally, as if it was things that existed back then, when it could have just been like an 8-year-old carving something in a rock, that he was thinking of in his head. 10,000 years from now, what if somebody on the planet digs up, a film reel of, the original Star Wars movie, the cantina scene, and they see all these strange creatures when they hold the film up to the light and they see the frames? What if they took that as like a literal thing? All those creatures, they existed back in 1977, thousands of years ago. No, it was just an art form. It was something that was created for entertainment or just for fun. When you look further into this case of this cave in Illinois, there's one individual in particular who, has been looking into it, and him and another guy have been trying to decipher the texts that they found. Apparently they've been able to come up with, these actual English translations of what's being talked about, and they're saying that a lot of it describes like UFO activity, ancient alien activity, and things of that nature. And apparently some of these stone pieces have even like depictions of extraterrestrials and reptilian beings. So the case gets really weird, and think of it what you will, make of it what you will. I am very skeptical of it, and I don't think it's a good idea to believe that these artifacts are of Bigfoot. It's most likely not. Now, I'll kind of quickly read over what this article says, because like I said, it's talking about vibrations and things of that nature, and it also mentions, a lost Atlantean civilization. It says, many advanced underground cities of the Atlantean civilization were abandoned in darkness when the global infrasound resonance systems were inundated by the deluge of waters once suspended as vapor. A profound Atlantean cultural awareness of the great abundance and variety of technologically advanced subterranean civilizations using infrasound resonance is made clear in many of its stone texts. Among the cave archives many inscribed stones and sculptural renderings of various human races and animal species inhabiting Earth's surface. One particularly intriguing engraved stone carving represents a human-animal hybrid creature that was regained a prominent position in the psyche of modern humanity, the giant Sasquatch. Digital clarification of photographs by Todd Standing have revealed the many distinct facial features of Sasquatch, providing clear references for the comparison of ancient depictions. See, in this article, they're believing that, or assuming that Todd Standing's photographs are real, which we don't know if they're real or not real. Of the hundreds of artifacts from the southern Illinois cave that have been publicized, 3 small portrait stones, finely carved in low relief, present very flat, broad faces fringed by fur, showing long beards without mustaches, features that cannot be mistaken for any other creature. One of the giant hybrids bears large teeth, his beard and hair rendered with parallel lines reminiscent of the Kundalini cobra headdress of the Egyptian pharaohs. My pronunciation on that, probably wrong. While another portrait carving presents long, wild eyebrows, a triangular beard, and a large symbol of the rising sun on the creature's forehead. Several high-quality audio recordings confirm the Sasquatch hybrids possess a giant larynx that, like those of elephants, giraffes, and whales, enables long-distance communication using ultra-low frequencies below the threshold of normal human hearing. The occipital region of the brain is closely associated with infrasound reception and is clearly emphasized in the form of the Sasquatch skull, which displays a significant enlargement in the occipital lobes. The largest of the 3 low-relief slate carvings of Sasquatch depicts a very broad and flat human-like face, with ominous hollows for its eyes and mouth, giving the appearance of growling that is a well-known aggressive behavior of these territorial giants. The hybrid forehead is inscribed with a radial circular pictogram of the now glyph, meaning ship, with wings on either side to symbolize the flight capability of these circular spaceships. So I guess now they're relating Sasquatch with aliens, so we're going into the ET Sasquatch theory. So we're going way out there now. I guess it also is worth mentioning at this point that, it's widely thought that the Sasquatch use infrasound, as a means maybe to scare people or to intimidate people and to make them leave, their areas of solitude. We don't really know what it's for. I'm just theorizing here. But that is something that is probable, is the infrasound thing. Any doubt regarding this interpretation of the portrait is eliminated by the clear and direct statement that is made in the text line of 6 glyphs above the prominent spaceship glyph. The short text clearly states the purpose of the circular spaceships, and in a different language, it essentially means here, for delivering from below shining spaceships. And it says, as Sasquatch are cave dwellers, the statement informs us, as a matter of fact, that Sasquatch is delivered by spacecraft from subterranean habitation sites, transport through the bedrock by transdimensional means using an HHO plasma atmosphere inside the ships that excites the bright red electroluminosity of Sasquatch eyes that is observed and reported often by terrestrial humans. So I'm trying to wrap my head around that right now, honestly. Like, they're making a very specific claim that there's some sort of transport, through the ground by transdimensional means using an HHO plasma atmosphere. Honestly, don't know what that is. Inside the ships that excites the bright red electroluminosity of Sasquatch eyes. So, I guess when they are traveling from their subterranean homes to the surface or to ships, their eyes glow. I don't know, like I said, and in the title of this video I say it, the craziest Bigfoot theory you've ever heard. This is going way out there. The complex symbolism integrated into the design of the eyes reinforces the statement, with 5 lines above each eye appearing as light rays, implying an interesting double meaning. Contemporary reports of Sasquatch encounters often include an eerie red eye glow that can be seen at a distance, while the text line above provides the double meaning, as the ocular lens-shaped plasma ships also radiate light. The Atlantean Sanskrit now glyph and the later Egyptian symbolic association of the third eye pineal gland hieroglyph with the winged solar disk imagery and the single eye of the facade of the Great Pyramid are repeated in this Illinois cave stone by the double meaning encoded in the eyelid delineation and 5 lines radiating above the eyes of the Sasquatch, which actually form Sanskrit glyphs for these 3 actions. Slight differentiation in the angles of the marks define the glyph breaks. The left eye translates as thundering, shining, delivering, while the right eye reads shining, thundering, delivering. The repetition of these 3 actions in the pictographic inscription serves to reinforce the entirely literal interpretation of their words, affirming that Sasquatch is delivered from below the Earth's surface by highly advanced spaceships with the same extraordinary transdimensional capabilities described in detail in the most ancient Vedic texts. These profound Atlantean passages directly confirm the findings of geneticists studying Sasquatch, a species that was hybridized during the time period of the cataclysm. This article is written under the assumption that the Illinois cave system is legitimate, which we don't know. We also, haven't proven the existence of Bigfoot yet, and it also talks about, maybe it's the, burial site of Alexander the Great. Some of these artifacts depict things that, are thought to be reptilian beings and aliens, and it goes deep into the ancient alien theory. So there's a vast amount of unexplained mysteries involved in this story, in the discovery and, I guess, interpretation of what these artifacts are and what they show. Do you guys think these faces represent Bigfoot? I mean, we do have lots of artifacts. There's lots of First Nations artifacts and artwork that has been discovered that is thought to depict the Sasquatch creature. which, you know, is a spiritual creature in First Nations folklore. But is it just spiritual? Modern reports, the thousands of modern reports, would speak otherwise. You know, there's actually a living, breathing creature out there. You know, the First Nations people would talk about it and create this artwork just as if they would if it was a real animal, like if it was a bear or an eagle or some creature along those lines. You know, it was right up there with these real animals that are known to exist. You know, it's not like it was categorized with a bunch of spiritual beings, you know, or things of that nature. It's, you know, characterized with animals that we know for a fact exist. So that's another interesting thing. Are there Bigfoot in Illinois? I don't know. Are there people on the channel, you know, subscribers that are from this area? Say something. I want to know what you guys think. Is there sightings out there? What is the probability that these ancient people ran into Sasquatch? The theories that come from this cave system are basically supporting the ancient alien theory and the ET Bigfoot theory, along with a bunch of other things. You guys should, you know, look deep into this. If you want to be entertained for a while, and if you want to kind of dig into a mystery, I'll have a list of links down below in the description, so you guys can watch some interviews and lectures about this cave system, most of them involving the gentleman who's actually looking very deeply into it. If this cave system is a hoax, then somebody, you know, if all these artifacts actually exist, somebody went through the trouble of making like thousands, like 3,000 artifacts, and carving them out of stone in intricate ways, which is kind of interesting. It is also known that some of these artifacts, actually a lot of them, have been sold. So there is, you know, an opportunity there for monetary gain, which again is why some people hoax things. So that's kind of interesting and a red flag. And there's also reports that a lot of fake artifacts have turned up by people looking to make $1. So people have, you know, made replicas of these artifacts, or they have taken ones that were, you know, thought to be genuine and even further modified them to look even more fantastic and sold them. So there is kind of like a monetary, I guess, drive to push this story out, because people can make money on these artifacts whether they're real or not. I don't know if anyone in recent times has been to the cave. I don't even know if the guy looking deep into it has been to the cave. Honestly, I just found out about the story a few days ago, so I'm still looking into it. Very interesting, you know, real or not, very crazy, intricate. It's like an intricate story that would have taken a lot of time and thought to plan out, similar to the Billy Meyer case. But don't for 1 second underestimate a person's ability to create an intricate and interesting, complex story, because people can do it. You know, they can do whatever they put their minds to, right? Especially if they have a lot of time, if they have 25 or 30 years to, you know, make this stuff and you know, come up with the story and the legend. And I don't know what to think, honestly. I am not a believer in the ET Bigfoot theory. I'm not a believer in the interdimensional Bigfoot theory yet. You know, there's a lot of debate about that. You know, the idea that you'll find maybe 2 or 3 Sasquatch tracks and they'll disappear, and then you'll see more of them and they'll disappear again. I don't know. The supernatural Sasquatch thing is a very slippery slope, and I guess it also is worth mentioning once more that just because I made the supernatural Sasquatch YouTube documentary, that I don't believe in the supernatural Sasquatch. A lot of people assume that because I looked into it. I believe it. I don't know. I guess, you know, police officers, they investigate serial killings, you know, but they don't believe in the act of serial killing. You know what I mean? You'll investigate something, but it doesn't mean you should believe, you know, in the act of doing it. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think about this story down in the description. It's just one of those bizarre ones I randomly came across, you know, when I was researching other things. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you found it very interesting. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.